Your Olympic hero has arrived. It's true, it's true.
You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another Top 10. I know, so quickly after my last Top 15. Once again, it's Ren and Stimpy related, because that's kind of my thing right now. As you may notice, my channel kind of gets a theme that goes on for a little while, and then it moves on to the next one, and sometimes it goes back to an old one, and it's kind of all over the fucking place. It's what I do. Kind of guy I am. But today, I'll be talking about my top 10 favorite Ren and Stimpy episodes. Now, full disclosure, I have not actually seen all of Season 4, and I don't think I've seen hardly any of Season 5, but I'm pretty confident that that wouldn't affect this list, because the Spumco era was obviously much more entertaining than the Games era. Games era is still good. I still like Seasons 3 through 5 from what I've seen. Again, I've seen very little of 5. I've seen probably half of 4. 4's really long. And I've seen, I think, all of 3, and I've definitely seen all of 1 and 2 multiple times. I actually rewatched 1 and 2 in preparation for this video. But there will still actually be some episodes from all 3 eras of the series on this list. Those 3 eras being Spumco, Games, and Adult Party Cartoon. There's only one from Adult Party Cartoon. I wonder which one. And one from Games. So most of these are from the Seasons 1 and 2 Spumco era. But anyway, let's hop in. Number 10, we have Ren's Bitter Half. This is the one from the Games era. This is from Season 3, and is the only one from the Games era on this list. But Ren's Bitter Half is a really fun episode. It takes a pretty common cartoon trope where the character gets separated from their good self and their evil self. This did it a lot earlier than a lot of the others did, but there's a big twist on this one, is that there's no good Ren. He gets split up into Evil Ren and Indifferent Ren. And Evil Ren literally hosts like a Nazi rally with these big red and white flags, and he's wearing like a black Nazi uniform. Like, I was surprised with the imagery of it in this. Yeah, Ren's Bitter Half, his evil self gets separated from his indifferent self, and it's really funny to see that, because indifferent Ren is just laying there, not really giving a shit about anything. Whereas, you know, usually it's the good one that gets away from the evil one. But again, there is no good in Ren, according to this episode, which I think is really funny. Next up, at number 9, we have Untamed World, which is also simply called a cartoon, which is really weird that it has 2 titles there, because the title card says a cartoon, but then after the episode starts, it says Untamed World. Untamed World is a nature documentary themed episode where they go around exploring an island and seeing all of the different creatures, which are all different versions of Ren and Stimpy. It's one of the more experimental episodes. It's a very gimmicky one that just kind of does its own thing, and it's really entertaining. Seeing all the different creatures. The Croco Stimpy, who says happy, happy, joy, joy as its mating call. And then they all take a bus, and it's really ridiculous. Overall, Untamed World is a fun one. You'll usually find it on top 10 lists. And there's a reason for that. It's an enjoyable episode, and it's very gimmicky, but it does the gimmick very well. Alright, at number 8, we have Black Hole and Marooned. This is a tie. I have a tie between Black Hole and Marooned, because I like both of these episodes a lot, and they do very similar things. Both of these are space episodes from Season 1. There's actually 3 episodes from Season 1 that are space-themed. The other one will be on here, spoiler. These two, I think, are both pretty equal, and they're both pretty similar. In Marooned, Ren and Stimpy crash their ship on another planet, and are just trying to survive there. And then eventually they get eaten by this giant alien thing and die. By the way, I think they die in all 3 of the Season 1 space episodes, which is pretty funny to me, too. Black Hole, they similarly get stranded, but the difference is in this one, they go through a black hole and get stranded in another dimension where reality is just, like, getting all fucky and, like, getting destroyed. And I love the ending to it, where there's a bus that could take them back to their reality, but they have to leave on that bus or else they'll be trapped there forever. And when they get on, the bus driver's like, I need exact change only. And so they get off, and then Stimpy's like, it's okay, I'll set it so that we implode, so that they'll die instead. But then after he pulls out the remote and sets it, he's like, oh, look, Ren, I had change in my pocket the whole time. Isn't that funny? So Stimpy just fucked them over, and they die for no reason. But yeah, it's really fun. I really love the space-themed episodes, and these two are both pretty equally good. They're not quite space madness, but we'll get there. Don't you worry, your pretty Mexican little head. Number 7, we have Powdered Toast Man. Powdered Toast Man is another pretty gimmicky episode. It's one of the most ridiculous concepts for a superhero I've seen, where, first off, he's based off a breakfast product, which is powdered toast, and powdered toast is already a ridiculous concept. And then to have a superhero based on that is already also ridiculous. The episode actually doesn't really focus on Ren and Stimpy all that much because it's all focused on Powdered Toast Man himself. And he does appear in some of the fake commercials as well, but this whole episode dedicated to him is really fun. He, like, saves a cat. So he saves the cat from almost getting hit by a truck, And then he's off to do something else, so he just throws the cat and it gets hit by another truck. And the way he saves it from getting hit by the truck in the first place is by taking down a fucking plane and making it hit the truck. So collateral damage is all that he fucking does. Which I actually think was kind of an inspiration when we did the Amazing Super Sham episode of Sarge and Friends. I think Powdered Toast Man was actually one of the inspirations behind that. Powdered Toast Man, he also saves the Pope at one point and tells him to cling to his buttocks. He also becomes the president and accidentally burns the Bill of Rights. It's ridiculous and it's fun, and it's one of those weird gimmicky mascots you'd see like Pepsi Man, only Powdered Toast is a far more ridiculous concept for a superhero than Pepsi even is. But overall, it's a really fun one. At number 6, we have Man's Best Friend. Man's Best Friend was the introduction of George Liquor, who's one of my favorite side characters that's really underutilized. I really wish there was more of him in it, but he adopts Ren and Stimpy from a shelter. He's training them with discipline and being really harsh and abusive towards them. But also giving them treats that are shaped like cigars. And then, of course, when he's teaching them to protect him, he wants to see that they can really rough him up. So then Ren grabs this oar and beats the ever-living fuck out of him. One of the most violent scenes in Ren and Stimpy. So much so that this episode was actually banned during its original run. And the first time it would air in the US would be during the Adult Party Cartoons run. So even though this is a Spumco-era episode, it's also kind of an Adult Party cartoon episode. It would, of course, later be included with the Seasons 1 and 2 DVD. It's not on the Adult Party Cartoon DVD, so it's clearly part of the original series, and this isn't the Adult Party Cartoon one I was talking about. If you've been watching me, you already know what is going to be and what place it's going to be on this fucking list. Man's Best Friend is great, and honestly, I think it's kind of ridiculous it got banned, because, yeah, it's violent, but it's not, like, gory. And, like, after he beats the hell out of George Liquor, George is just, like, fine and is actually impressed and likes it. Like, he literally says harder during the scene when he's getting beat. And Ren also does that evil maniacal laugh, which I really like. I love Psycho Ren episodes. Those tend to be my favorite episodes. You'll notice a theme of that on this list. But overall, I really love that episode. Man's Best Friend is great, and it's crazy that it got banned, but it's a classic. Number 5, we have Rubber Nipple Salesman. Now, Rubber Nipple Salesman is a really fun episode where they're just going door to door selling rubber nipples, which is already fucking ridiculous. But on top of that, this episode literally contains my favorite joke in the entirety of the series. I'm gonna see if I can just show it.
How do I know you're not from the FBI? All right, so I made a mistake. Can a man start over? Maybe I should make another mistake. Maybe 2 more. We really just want to sell you some rubber nipples. It is a nipple. Forget everything I said. No, sir, I don't think I have any use for rubber nipples. But I'll tell you what, though. Do you have any rubber walrus protectors? Call the police.
It's fucking great. It's one of the most, like, dark and funny moments in it, and it's one of the wackiest moments with Mr. Horse. Like, it's really dark for Mr. Horse. Mr. Horse is one of my favorite side characters. But yeah, the premise of this episode was already great, but the fact that it contains my literal favorite joke in the series definitely deserved a spot on this list. Alright, at number 4, we have Sven Hoek. This is the episode where Ren's cousin Sven comes to visit, and the first half of the episode is really fun, with Sven being a lot more like Stimpy than Ren, and Sven and Stimpy annoying the hell out of Ren going to work, and then Sven and Stimpy just getting into all sorts of shenanigans in the house while Ren is at work. And then later, the last part of the episode, when Ren comes home and gets really angry, easily one of my favorite scenes in the series. It's the one where he snaps and he's like, you know, first I'll tear your lips off, I'm gonna gouge your eyes out, I'm gonna rip your arms out of the socket. I quote it all the time, you know, oh, what I'm gonna do to you. And then he pisses on the electric fence, because they have a game called Don't Whiz on the Electric Fence. And that's the end of the episode, as he whizzes on the electric fence and it kills all of them and they end up in hell. And then Satan, who looks a hell of a lot and sounds a hell of a lot like George Liquor, is like, you whizzed on the electric fence, didn't you? It's a classic episode. It has a great Psycho Ren moment, just a complete and total outburst, and it's probably one of the most psychotic scenes of Ren, and that's what I love about it. Alright, at number 3 we have Stimpy's Invention. Now, this episode is on basically everybody's top 10, it's just a matter of where they put it, because most people agree this is, like, objectively, like, the best, if not one of the best episodes. And this is the one where Stimpy, at the beginning, he's just making a bunch of little fun inventions, but then at the end, Ren's unhappy, and so he makes a invention that will force Ren to be happy, kind of Clockwork Orange style. Like, instead of forcing him to be good, he's forcing him to be happy. And then he starts playing Happy Happy Joy Joy on a record, and that song is just a bunch of nonsense. Like, it says, I'm gonna teach your grandmother to suck eggs. And then it's like, the animals in the wild don't know they're ugly. Isn't that funny? A fly marrying a bumblebee? And then he's like, I told you I was gonna shoot, but you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me? And then Ren, going nuts from being so happy and being forced to be happy and dance along with this, starts bashing this his happy helmet that Stimpy invented with a hammer over and over again until it breaks it. And then, of course, it ends with him being like, I'm so angry. Thank you, I love being angry. And then that's the happy resolution of the episode. There's a reason this is so liked. It's fucking great. I love the song. The song definitely elevates it a lot. Plus, just the psychotic look on Ren's face when he's wearing the happy helmet and when he's bashing it with the hammer. Like, the episode's fucking great. Alright, at number 2, we have Space Madness. Space Madness is easily the best of the space-themed episodes. It's easily one of my favorite psychotic Ren episodes. Basically, Commander Hoek, the space version of Ren, gets Space Madness. He starts going crazy, thinking a bar of soap is an ice cream bar, threatening Stimpy with a toothbrush, saying, don't make me use this, and then just saying random shit like, we're not hitchhiking anymore, we're riding, and just saying, like, nonsense. Then the episode ends with Stimpy pushing the history eraser button and them all dying. Overall, it's a really fun, insane episode. It's probably one of the most insane episodes of the series. Like, you can just feel how insane Ren is with the music, the looks on his face, and the weird shit he's saying. It's great. Alright, before we get to number 1, just a couple of honorable mentions. First honorable mention we have is Fake Dad. Fake Dad's really fun. Ren adapts this full-grown man who's supposed to be a 7-year-old kid and goes crazy on him, and this full-grown man also is like a criminal, but they play it off as if he is a 7-year-old kid, but he's this giant hairy man, and it's really funny. That just barely missed this list. It's definitely one of my favorite episodes. And then another honorable mention we have is Altruists. My second favorite adult party cartoon episode, you know, not including Man's Best Friend. It's not on this list, it probably wouldn't have been on this list, but I thought it's worth mentioning because it gets a lot of hate. The third and final honorable mention we'll have is the unfinished episode, Life Sucks, which would have been easily the best episode of the series, I think, had it been finished. I've seen the animatic that exists with the existing dialogue that they have, and it's fucking great. It's really entertaining. This would have been the peak of the adult party cartoon, and I think it would have been the best episode of the series had it been made. Nevertheless, it never got finished, so it didn't get to make this list. Alright, now we're on to number 1. And I know, it's fucking predictable. It's Ren Seeks Help. I've said this multiple times, Ren Seeks Help is my favorite episode of the whole series. I love Psycho Ren episodes. This episode is entirely a Psycho Ren episode. It's super sadistic, dark, and mean-spirited, and that's what I fucking love about it. Mr. Horse as a doctor is really funny, and just how brutal and over-the-top it is really funny to me. Like, it's easily the most sadistic and insane episode of the series, and that's what I love about it. Also, it's crazy that Ren would do something so evil that even Stimpy would be like, turned against him, which I think another cool thing is we never actually find out what he did, and he whispers to Dr. Mr. Horse, which is his name, Dr. Mr. Horse. He whispers to him what he did, and he's like, you're fucking crazy, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, and just starts beating the hell out of him. All the stuff with the frog I thought was really funny, because Ren's sadism, like, made him, like, beat the shit out of this frog and torture him, and when he was about to kill him, the frog begged him to do it and finish him off, and he's like, oh, you want this? And he's like, yeah, it would end the pain, haven't I suffered enough? And he's like, no. And so he just continued to torture him. And then his parents want him to finally finish off the frog, and he pretends that he does, but then he just throws him in the garbage, and he's like, live or have a good life, and he wants him to live a long, happy life. Well, not happy life, but long life. He wants him to live a, extended, grueling life. And then the frog, of course, does survive until Ren's adulthood, shows up and tries to blow his head off with Dr. Horse's gun, but turns out it was one of those little flag bang guns, and the frog still lived even though the flag went through his head. Overall, it's a really sadistic episode, but just how, like, over the top and mean it is really funny to me. I've never understood why people are put off by mean humor, and I always use this as a prime example of it done right, and this genuinely feels like a Ren and Stimpy episode. Despite how fucking dark it is, if it was, like, severely toned down, it could have easily fit right in with the original series. But nevertheless, it's one that a lot of people hate on. Reviewers tended to bandwagon on it. That's dying down a little bit. Now people typically say that Naked Beach Frenzy is the worst one, which I also disagree with. Have they never fucking seen Onward and Upward? Nevertheless, Ren Seeks Help is unfairly maligned. I think it's great. I think it's the best episode of Ren and Stimpy. And at the end of the day, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. Toodles.
I'm gonna fucking die here, Jack!
Suck it, you shit!
You take forever to say nothing.
Subscribe to Fiji to Red Eye.